Good morning, Krusty Crew. What up, squad? How goes it, everybody? How are you guys? I'm here, I'm chilling. Tired as fuck, but I'm here and I'm chilling. Let's go over our housekeeping for the morning. Shout out to Ash Ray, P-Tip Bijou, and Ellie Blue Bubbles for being the first people in the Twitch chat today. Welcome in. MJ on pause, thank you for resubscribing on Twitch with your Amazon Prime. And shout out to Waller is Me for becoming a tier 2 member over on YouTube. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Welcome into our day of debates. Hope everyone's doing well. My hand feels weird, so I'm dealing with that. Don't know if I should be worried, but my hand feels very weird. Could just be my muscles. I mean, it feels like a muscle. It definitely feels like a muscle. Might have slept on it. I don't know. I was asleep. How would I know? It literally just feels like the muscle right here is very sore. Oh, that's all. So anyway, let's go over our topics today. Today's topics on the board. There's no good reason to still be MAGA. There's no good reason to believe in Christianity. There is no good reason to still support Trump. Trans men and women are men and women. And there are no good reasons to make abortion illegal. Those are our topics on the board. If you want to debate any of those, well, you can just call the call-in line. Lines are now officially open. 219-327-8005. Otherwise, I'm just going to mock. No, 1 and 3 are not the same. Because there are people who support Trump who don't consider themselves MAGA. So it's different. If you are interested in supporting the show today, guys, just remember there are multiple ways you can do that. You can subscribe like Elemental did on Twitch. Thank you for subscribing for your 6th month. Or no, you subscribed for 6 months. Thank you for subscribing for 6 months at tier 1. You can send a super chat like some people have on YouTube. I will be collecting those and reading those all at the end. Or you can send a Cash App or PayPal to the Cash App or PayPal on the screen. All of the tips that you send through Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo, those all go directly back into the call-in line. So yeah. It's gonna be annoying, isn't it? This hand shit. Maybe I'll call my doctor. Shout out to Ice Freak for subscribing for their 6th month. Resubscribing for 6 months. Thank you. You've been subscribed for 16 months, so thank you for that. Marcy, the Dysphoria Queen, thank you so much for giving 1 sub to the community. Thank you. And Invisible Falcon, thank you for subscribing with your Amazon Prime. Remember, if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free sub. Why not consider using it for me? Thanks to my Twitch homies. To my twomies. Exotic Bimbus, thank you for resubscribing for 2 months at tier 1. And Invisible Falcon, I think I already said you, but thank you for subscribing. Just wondering, I'm new here. Are you a liberal or a leftist? I'm a leftist. I'm a communist, bro. Full on commie, bro. All right. It looks like we actually have our first call already. So I guess we'll go to that. First up in the show, coming up, is Aaron. Now, Aaron wants to say that there are good reasons to believe in Christianity, so we're going to find out what those are. Aaron, welcome to the show. If you could please provide me your age and pronouns. Okay. Aaron, thank God I had you.
Buddy, how you doing?
Aaron, first of all, thank God I had you muted. You're way too loud. I need you to take a step back from the mic because you're peaking hard as hell. So you can take a step back from
we good? Are we good now?
We'll find out as we go. Aaron, can I get your age and pronouns, please?
33, he, him.
Okay, now, Aaron, you want to tell me there are good reasons to believe in Christianity. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you're still peaking like crazy. Can you just move away from the receiver?
Is this better?
We'll find out. I mean, I would just move away from the receiver a little bit if you could.
All right. How are we doing now?
It sounds fine now. Okay.
Okay.
What are the good reasons you think we should believe in Christianity?
Well, the first one that I would say is a change of morality, and that is through testimonies that I've heard from people, and I would say them going from, either breaking laws or having addiction or, just in general not being a good person, and then they go and find Christ and change their life around because of the tenets of Christianity and the Bible.
Okay. What about the tons of people who became atheists and they said that they became better morally as people?
Well, yeah, that's their opinion.
So does that mean that it's actually a good reason to not believe in Christianity?
No, that's their opinion. Like I said from before, this is based off of the testimonies that I've seen.
Sure, but you said it's a good reason to be. It's a good reason to be Christian because it helped change people's morality for the better. But it's not a good reason to be atheist because that changed people's moralities for the better.
No, that's their choice.
So is it with yours? What is that? Why does that make it a good? Why does that make it a good reason to believe in Christianity?
Because from what I have seen and the testimonies that I have listened to from people, is that it's made a positive change in their life.
Okay, again, what about the people whose positive change came from deconstructing from Christianity?
Okay, good for them. If that's what they believe, that's what they believe. I'm happy that they're happy.
I don't think you understand the question, Aaron.
Do I believe that that's right? No, but...
Okay, but I'm asking you why. I'm asking you for a good reason to believe in Christianity. So far, you've told me the good reason. Here's a good reason why people should follow Christian tenets, but you haven't told me a good reason why we should believe in Christianity.
Going back to one of the tenets is the Ten Commandments, is that I believe that whenever you live a life based on the Ten Commandments, you will live a good life, and it will be a moral life.
Okay, but that's not telling me why I should believe in Christianity.
You should believe in Christianity because if you don't believe in Christ, then you are doomed to hell. Your soul is going to be doomed to hell.
Cool. What's your evidence that if we don't believe in Christ, our soul is doomed to hell?
Because that's what it tells us in the Bible, and that's what Jesus says, is that nobody can come to the Father except through me.
Okay, what's your evidence that when Jesus said this in the Bible, this was true?
Because Jesus is the Messiah, and everything that he said is true.
Okay, what is your evidence that Jesus was the Messiah?
Because he was born of a virgin, and He also was able to perform miracles.
What's your evidence that he performed miracles and or was born of a virgin birth?
Based off of the stories that are in the Bible. And then,
Okay. So I should believe in the Bible based on the stories that are in the Bible.
yes.
So let's say that I find an ancient book of an ancient tome, an ancient book that says, "Hey, mermaids are real." Should I believe mermaids are real?
Well, no, because we
Why not?
haven't had any evidence that mermaids are real.
Okay. What evidence have you had that Jesus Christ was real?
Because of people, what they've said. Then
Which people?
we've also found records like the Dead Sea Scrolls.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
That lend
I don't know if you
lend
know this.
evidence.
Jesus isn't in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea
I
Scrolls
know
are
that.
the
Let
Old
me
Testament.
finish, though. Can I finish?
Sure.
What I'm saying, though, is that the Dead Sea Scrolls lends evidence to that the Bible is also real.
No, all the Dead Sea Scrolls lends evidence to is that people have been telling the story of the Old Testament a long time ago. All the Dead Sea Scrolls are the Old Testament stories. And we know that the Old Testament stories have been around forever. So it's not shocking that there is an old written record of the Old Testament. That doesn't prove the Old Testament. It doesn't prove the New Testament.
And then we've also found the places. We've also found the burial sites of people. Like when I went to Israel, we saw Peter's old house. They found relics from his house and the actual foundation with his name on the foundation. That was his house.
Who? That was who? Who were you talking about?
Peter. They're talking about Peter, one of his disciples.
Okay, so we found Peter's house.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see real quick. And you're sure about this?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how does finding the house of St. Peter, how does finding his house prove that any of the other stuff is real? I think it proves that he was real, possibly.
Because,
how does it prove that
proves
Jesus
that he's real?
Was born of a virgin birth?
Because we have their testimonies to say that.
We have Peter's testimony to say that Jesus was born of a virgin birth.
Yes.
In where?
The Bible.
Which book?
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So I stand corrected. Just a quick search. It says Peter does not directly speak about Jesus' birth in the biblical accounts. This is, like I said, this is just a quick Google search. But he does refer to a new birth, which is what I was confusing in Christ, and connects it to Jesus' resurrection and the power of the gospel. In letters and sermons, Peter emphasizes that believers are born again through faith in Jesus Christ, which gives them a living hope for an eternal inheritance that is kept in heaven.
Okay. So then I'll just reiterate my statement. What's the evidence that Jesus was born a virgin birth? Like, how do we have evidence of this?
Like I said, it's based off of testimony.
From who?
the individual that wrote about it, so then that way I'm not incorrect here.
Okay, do we know who in the Bible made the claim?
In the Gospel of Matthew and the Gospel of Luke.
Okay, and who wrote Matthew and Luke?
Matthew wrote Matthew and Luke wrote Luke.
No, actually, Matthew and Luke are both written anonymously. We don't know who wrote them. There wasn't a person named Matthew or named Luke. So how do we know what these two anonymous people said? Like, how do we know that what they said is true?
So, like I said, quick Google searches, it says who wrote the books of Matthew and Luke. It says the books of Matthew and Luke are traditionally attributed to the Apostle Matthew and Luke, a companion of Paul, respectively.
I know that your Google search says they're attributed, but there is no. Yeah, they're written anonymously. We have no evidence of any of the people who wrote.
Traditions were later added. While early church tradition holds Matthew as the author of the Gospel of Matthew and Luke as the author of the Gospel of Luke, modern scholarship notes the lack of authorial claims within the text themselves.
Yep. So they were written anonymously.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we know that these anonymously written texts, that the mysticism in them, for instance, Jesus being born of a virgin birth, how do we know that those mysticism claims are true? Do you know anybody that was born of a virgin birth? Like in our time?
No, I don't. That's why they call it the Immaculate Conception.
So what we're saying is, in all of the modern science we've been seeing and recording in human history, it's never been the case that a virgin birth has happened. But I'm to believe that a virgin birth happened because two anonymous writers claimed that a virgin birth happened.
Yes.
Do we have any?
Exactly correct.
Why would I do that?
Because of faith.
Okay, so it is faith. It's not a good reason to believe in this story. It's just have faith with little reason to believe.
That's the answer that I can provide at this moment. Because I'm not a biblical scholar myself, nor a theologian, and I lack in that certain case, So that's the only answer that I can provide.
Okay, so you would agree with me then that there is no good reason to believe in Christianity. There is only the faith reason.
No, I wouldn't.
But you don't have a good reason to believe. You just have the faith reason.
No, I didn't, because I first stated that based on testimonies from a lot of people that I've heard, how believing in Christ has changed their life.
Yeah, but just because somebody believed in Christ, right? Just because they believe in Christ and they change their life, that doesn't tell me that's a good reason to believe in Christianity.
Well, you're right. That's just one reason that I've come across and I've seen in my life.
Sure, but what I'm looking for is a good reason to believe in what this religion is telling us, which is primarily the mysticism and divinity of Christ. What is the reason I should believe in the mysticism and divinity of Christ?
One good reason is the damnation of your soul if you do not believe in him.
Except you can't prove to me that my soul will. You can't prove to me my soul will be damned if I don't believe in him. So if I don't believe that, if I don't even believe in it,
what's a good? Of what it says in the Bible.
Yes, the Bible, Aaron. I'm going to let you know something. The Bible is the claim. The Bible is not the evidence. So the Bible is making claims. The Gospels are making claims about Jesus. They're making claims about your soul and what will happen to your soul. They're making that sort of thing, but they're not providing evidence that these things are true.
Yeah, you're right, because that's something that we'll never be able to provide evidence for.
Okay,
we're not God.
So we will never be able to provide evidence for the divinity of Christ or the mysticism of the Bible. That means there's no good reason to believe in it.
No, we'll never be able to provide evidence for where your soul actually goes.
Then that tells me there is no good reason to believe in Christianity. Why can't I believe in one of the other thousands of gods? Why is there good evidence to believe in the Christian God versus all of the other gods? Why is there good evidence to believe in Christianity versus being an atheist? So far, all you've told me is that there is none, and it's just all based on faith.
No, what I've said is that based on what I've seen is that there's been a positive change in people's lives whenever they do believe in Christ.
And I have seen a positive change for people who've deconstructed from religion and they moved to believe in atheism or lack of belief. I've seen the positive change there.
Okay, cool.
So this doesn't tell me that this is a good reason to believe in
that
Christianity.
Will still continue to be a positive person, but hopefully one day, they will be able to reconnect with Jesus again, because
Aaron, again, you're not providing.
You're never truly lost.
You are not providing good reason for belief in Christ.
I think I have, but like I said again, reiterating again, is that with the tenets of Christianity, whenever you abide by them, then you are a good person because of the things that you do on a daily basis.
Okay. Which tenets specifically? You're only talking about the 10 Commandments? Or are you talking about all of biblical law? If you follow all of biblical law,
I'm specifically right now, I'm just talking about the 10 Commandments.
So why would you separate biblical morals and only look at 10 of the biblical laws and not the rest of them?
Because that's a 10-hour conversation to have, and we only have 20 minutes. So I wanted to concise it down to just this one specific thing.
Okay, but you do believe,
because we have enough time for that.
Okay, but you do believe that we should be following all of the biblical laws, not just the 10 Commandments.
Yes.
And you're positive about that.
Yes. Please, I'm sure what direction you're going down with this, but go ahead.
Okay, so just to confirm, how should I go about buying my slave?
How should you go about buying your slave? Well,
biblical law says I can own a slave. Yeah, but I'm not following the law of my country. I want to follow God's law. I want to follow biblical law.
Okay, well, the Bible also does say that you have to obey by man's law too.
But if man's law goes against God's law, should I ignore man's law and focus on my holy duty to God's law? If I live in a country hold on. So if I live in a country that says abortion is legal and I obey that law and have an abortion, right? Is that following man's law? Does that mean God's cool with this because it's man's law?
No, because God says that you should not abort babies.
Okay, so but you said God says to follow man. You said God told me to follow man's law. So if I live in a country that says it's illegal to pray to the Lord, it's illegal. Like I go to a country and they're saying it's illegal to pray to God. If I go to that country,
like North Korea.
If I go to a country that says it's illegal to pray to God, okay, and I should follow that law and I should stop praying to God, right? Because we're supposed to follow God says to follow man's law.
No, like I said before, is that God's law is above everything else.
Okay, so then I'm going to say again, if I want to own my slave,
you also have to respect man's law.
Okay, so if man's law says not to live in this world. Wait, if man's law says not to pray, should I stop praying then?
No, I wouldn't. I would say no.
So, but then I'm not respecting man's law. You just said God told me. You just told me I don't care about North Korea. You're just trying to red herring to something else in the conversation. It's not going to work. You keep telling me that God said. You keep telling me I don't care about North Korea. Stop trying to move the conversation. Right. You keep telling me God says to respect man's law. So if man's law is telling me not to pray, I should respect that and stop praying to God. Correct?
No, you shouldn't, because
we don't have to respect. Right. So then wait, is it immoral to then not respect man's law per what God says?
There's a gray area. And
There's a gray area.
And yes, there is, because you have to make a choice.
So if God tells me something is moral, but man's tells me something is...
There's a lot of variables.
Hold on. If God tells me something is moral and man's law tells me that that same thing is illegal, so I should not be able to do this moral thing God is telling me because man told me it's illegal?
Jovan, what's your point?
My point is, you're saying we should follow the laws and morality and teachings of the Bible, but here I am asking you how should I go and pay for my slave? And you're telling me, well, no, you shouldn't do that because we say it's illegal. But now you're telling me that God's morality and God's laws exist above man's. So what should I be doing? I want to follow God's. I want to follow the morality, the moral teachings of God, and God tells me it is morally okay to own a slave. So how should I follow that moral teaching of God?
Whenever you are living someplace that is telling you not to own slaves, then it is not right to own a slave.
So then God, man's law and what man says is right outweighs what God says is right.
Because you have to exist in this world.
Okay, but you're telling me that man's laws outweigh God's.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, is it right to own a slave? Yes or no? Is it morally right to own a slave? Yes or no?
Man, see, that's a very loaded question, though.
No, it's not. It's a very simple question.
Yeah.
Is it moral to own a slave?
I don't think it's not immoral to own a slave. No.
You don't think it's immoral to own a slave?
No, I don't.
You think it is a moral thing to own another human being as property?
Like I said, it depends on the situation.
What situation does owning a person like property, like in what situation is that good?
So whenever you have children,
you think that you own your children as property?
Yes, you own them until they're 18.
You don't. No, you don't own them. No. You are responsible for their care. You do not own them. Can you sell your children?
No.
Then how do you own them?
No, you can't, but you can give them.
Then how do you own? I'm pretty sure everything that I own, I can legally sell, right? But you're saying that I can't sell my children.
Well, I mean, no, not in the aspect of like, here, now give me money and.
If I wanted to take I wanted to take my child and like cut their arm off because I just want them to look different, can I do that?
No.
No, but I thought I owned them.
That's not.
Can I have an abortion if I want to have an abortion?
Legally, you can.
Okay, but is it moral?
No.
Well, why not? If I own this thing, why can't I abort it?
No, it's because that's murder.
Yeah, but I own it.
No, because there's a difference.
Okay, if I want to beat my child within an inch of their life, can I do that?
No.
As long as they don't die? But I own it.
No, because that's abuse.
Yeah, but God says that it's okay to beat your slaves within an inch of your life because you own them. They're your property. You're saying I own my child. They're my property, so why shouldn't I be able to beat them? God says it's okay.
Because you're going to damage them whenever they're older.
Doesn't matter. Whoa. It doesn't matter. I own them, right?
It does matter because I also wouldn't want to do that and hurt them like that.
Yeah, but God says it's okay.
Just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to.
Wait. So you're saying that there's stuff that God says is okay that is not actually okay?
No, what I'm saying is that there's some things you don't have to do.
Wait, but is it okay if I do it?
I don't think so.
Okay, so you're saying this thing that God says is okay because you're saying that we own our children. They're our property.
You know what? How about this? where exactly are you saying that it is okay that God says that it says in the Bible?
Exodus
It's
21,
okay.
20 through 21. Anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result, but they are not to be punished if the slave recovers after a day or two, since the slave is their property. So because the slave is their property and they own that slave, as long as the slave doesn't die, they're good if they want to beat them. So you're saying children are our property. We own our children.
Okay,
So then by this logic, I should
you're
be able to beat my
calling
slave and
that
that would
from
be okay with
Exodus.
God. Yes, Exodus is direct rules from God given to Moses to give to the Hebrew people.
I know exactly. I know exactly what you're saying. I'm talking about.
So
But like I
I
said,
should be able to
that
beat
I
my
would
children.
choose not to.
I'm not asking about whether you would choose to. You said it's wrong to do, but God says it's not wrong to do.
Okay, Jovan. That's what I believe.
You believe that you know better morally than God.
I personally would not want to do that. I personally would not want to do that.
So you know better morally than God does. You're above God in the terms of moral understanding.
No, what I'm saying is that God gave me free will to choose.
Okay, but you are saying that you think this is wrong and you know that it's wrong, but God is saying it's not wrong. So do you know better morally than God does?
I would say that God is almighty and that I wouldn't put my thoughts even on the same plane as his because I don't have the same understanding as him.
Because you're saying that this thing is... Okay, so then I'll ask you again. Is it wrong for someone to beat their children within an inch of their life?
Yes, I think it is.
Okay, so you think you know better than God?
No.
God says it's not wrong. You're saying it is wrong.
And God also says that you should take heedance to man's law too, and man's law says that I should not beat my child.
Okay, so man,
and I also choose
man knows better morally than God does.
No.
So who's right about beating children, man or God?
Well, I think is that I don't have the proper information to answer this question. That's what
but you have the proper information to disagree with God.
No. I don't have the proper information.
If you move to a country in which man's law says,
tell me what was it again?
Hold on, Aaron.
Exodus 21 to 22?
Exodus 21, 20 to 21. God says you can beat someone as long as they don't die if that person is your property, and you've said that children are our property.
Because we'll have to reconvene on this matter.
Because you haven't read the Bible?
No, it's because I just don't know enough about.
Enough about what? There's no context here. If it's literally all laid out in these two verses. Anyone who beats their slave, if the slave dies, you are to be punished. If the slave doesn't die, you're not to be punished because the slave is your property.
Okay.
You've told me children are our property. We own our children. So
you said Exodus 20.
Exodus 21, 20 through 21.
Okay, 21, 20 through 21. Okay, thank you. Okay, cool. Damn.
And how big of a rod should I use when I beat my children?
You know, I think that's, for each person to decide on their own.
Okay, so we get to decide. We get to decide on our own how we beat our children.
Yeah, everybody has to choose whether they want to or not,
Everyone gets to decide whether they want to beat their children or not.
Yeah. Yep.
Sure, but like God told me it's okay to do, so I'm just wondering how big of a rod can I use?
How big of a rod can you use?
Yeah.
Well, traditionally in the U.S., we had, because this is the only rule I've ever heard of. I think they called it the one thumb rule.
Well, that's not one of God's rules.
No,
I'm not asking about the U.S. I'm asking about what God tells me I can do.
I'm not sure on that one. I'll tell you what. I know at the time that they had a lot of sheep herders around, so they had, the classical staff So maybe, maybe they would use that, or, maybe they would just, go crazy with it and just say, fuck it, I'm going to use my hands today. Uh, I don't know.
Okay, what about selling
gonna write
my
it down.
daughter? Do you think inflation will give me more than what the Bible says I should get for selling my daughter into sex slavery?
Oh, man. Do you think, oh, man. Woo, everyone called me off guard. Selling your daughter, you think you get more?
Yeah, I'm just
Because
wondering
inflation?
if inflation, yeah, will net me more.
Well, I would say that selling your daughter into slavery is illegal,
Yes,
and
but the
that you would
Bible
be
says it's
prosecuted.
okay to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not operating off of what man's law is, because you've told me that God's law is above man's law. So I'm going to go with God's law.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it is.
So how much do you think I can get for my daughter?
I would tell you that you should love your children and not sell your daughter. That's what I would say.
Well, why does God tell me it's okay to sell her then?
I don't have enough information on that to give
Really?
you a good rebuttal. Mm-hmm.
So you've not read the Bible at all, I'm assuming?
No, maybe not to that extent to be able to answer your question.
Not to that extent. To what extent have you read it?
Enough to where I believe in Christ.
So you've only read it up to the point where you're like, oh, this affirms my belief, I'm going to stop reading now.
No, that's not.
No?
I have not read it. I've not read the whole thing from cover to cover. But I do my daily devotionals. I like to read the daily bread and then read the corresponding verses that go along with the daily bread.
Okay, well, Aaron,
which is really good.
Thank you for confirming with me that you as a Christian don't have enough understanding of your own holy book. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and maybe once you get some more understanding of it, you'll call back and we can have an actual conversation. Anyway, shout out to Sheep for the Zambobbles. Just wondering how hard I should be able to beat my kids. Don't know why that's so hard to answer. All right, let's bring up the next caller. We have a couple of people in the queue, so hopefully they hang out while we go through callers today. Next up, we have, coming on to the debate stage, we have Bill. Bill wants to talk about trans men and women. Let's see what Bill has to say. Bill, could you please provide me your age and pronouns?
Hello.
Hello, Bill. Can you please provide me your age and pronouns?
Oh, sure. 31. And for my pronouns, do you accept neo pronouns?
Maybe.
Okay. Just no preference on them.
You have no preference. So just whatever pronouns I want to call you?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Bill, what were you calling to talk about?
Well, I was calling. My homie had told me to call. We were having a little barbershop debate thing, and essentially it landed on the concept of trans men and women. And my, I guess, view upon it is that I don't believe in men and women per se. So trans men and women, it more so, if I can try to break it down, I see gender is just a social construct. So everyone can identify. I believe it was like a schemas or something like that in the brain. I do apologize. I'm not too well versed in this, but it's something that aligns with, certain things. I see something and I may relate to that. You know what I'm saying? If this is what I believe a man is, I may relate to that. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I'm trying to tell because I don't see that. At one point in time I did, but it's just so blurry now. If you try to tell me the traits of a man or a woman, I just know, because at least for me, it was more so sitting there thinking, what is a man? What is a woman? and anything that I could actually give a value to what a man is or what a woman is. For me, I do apologize for the rambling. I guess my understanding came from when I unfortunately had to go through the manosphere stuff. And then everybody's like, hey, you're not a man, you're not doing this. Well, cuz what is a man? And then I formulated what I believe a man is, because it's a social, you know what I'm saying, construct. So then looking at that, it was just like, well, everything that I look at that I want in a man, I want in my partner, but I like vagina. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I want a man, but it's vagina. Whether they're trans, I have vagina, yeah, I hit that cuz. But I don't believe socially, because I don't see an alignment to man or woman. I don't know if that makes sense. So,
well, I mean, I'm understanding what you're saying. I think it feels more like you're saying you don't fit into the socially defined categories, as opposed to those socially defined categories don't exist.
okay.
So, like, because there are some people that are going to fit into those categories and that affirm themselves inside of those categories. But it sounds like you, when you're analyzing what it means to be a man or what it means to be a woman, you don't really think that those social categories or those socially constructed roles necessarily align with how your brain perceives yourself or what you're looking for in another person.
Yes.
Okay, non-binary. It sounds like you might be non-binary.
I mean, I definitely, over the years, I definitely consider, like, it, at least in the sense of, it's just more so for me, the concept of it, because it's a social term,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have a concrete, hey, this is what a man is. Because if you ask one person what a man is, it's going to be different from the next and different from the next.
Yep.
So when it comes to me, also though,
the thing that you're describing a little bit is you're describing like gender expression a bit more, but I understand what you're saying. The way I define man, which sort of fits more into your framework of understanding gender, is any adult human whose gender identity aligns with their social schema on the male sex. And all that's saying is that we all sort of in our heads dictate men and women differently because our brains sort of categorize them differently. And as long as your brain sort of aligns with the categorization your brain has done, then you would be a man or a woman, like vice versa, whatever it's aligning with there. So like when you think about what your brain says is masculine or what your brain says a man is, do you feel an affinity with those things? If the answer is yes, you might be man. If the answer is no, you might not be man. If the answer is yes, but I also feel an affinity with these things when I think about women, then it might be the case that you might be gender nonconforming. You might be under the non-binary umbrella in a lot of different areas.
okay, no, that's understandable. I guess, so my question that I lead on though is, again, so when I get that concept of gender, I guess my question is, like, when I see at least trans people wanting to align with a different gender, is more so, I think the quote was on Martin Luther King and like black people run into, like, why would they run to the house? Well, the concept of gender, nothing good has come from, like, gender is another social construct where it's like, hey, we want to put men over women. At least I see it. There may be some other use to it. If you can provide a good use for gender, then I'll be okay. But I've just seen gender used as a way to separate and classify. So at that classify, like, hey, this is a woman, this is a man. And then like how my pop said, my parents, my dad used to be like, no, the man had the credit card back then. You know what I'm saying? That's what made man versus women. I was like, well, that's not good. Women ain't got the credit card.
So here's the thing. Again, you're talking about like gender roles in like a traditional sense, but gender doesn't necessarily equate to gender roles, right? You may have an affinity with just what is typical of a gender, right? Some people's brains do just align with one gender or another. But you having a brain that's like, I don't really understand this alignment and I don't see anything good from these would lead me to, again, say you're probably non-binary. You probably don't see a need for gender in the same way others do, but that we can't use this to discount the fact that others do feel an affinity with these genders, right? Because the human brain for a long time has just been conditioned to be gendered. It just sort of has been bred into us over thousands of years of like interacting with gender in social constructs. I don't think there's an issue if you go, for me, I have no use for gender, right? Even if you still have like a genital preference and you're like, yeah, I just prefer vaginas, right? Like, but I don't care what gender is attached to that vagina because I just like, I don't care about any of those stuff. So if you don't see a need for yourself to hold that gendered construct, then you don't need to. There's no reason for you to exist within that framework. But for some people, like the best way to describe it is like, for me, for instance, when I have facial hair, I feel more masculine and I feel more comfortable within my own skin, right? When I have a full beard and because I've gone clean shaven and I just don't like the way that I feel when I'm clean shaven, right? And that is because like as a cisgender man, I just align with these sort of affinities to being a man. And it's not saying that you have to be a man this
Can
way.
I ask you something
it's just
on that?
those are the ways I do.
Right.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So on that, so like me personally, like my mustache, I would say, the same way I feel more comfortable with my mustache, but at the same time, I don't align mustache, at least anymore. Like, again, there was a point where it was mustache, masculine. When I tell you I work with women with mustache, and then after learning, like, dang, this is common, more women, it's just like, now for me to think that a mustache is just a, like, male thing, it's like, So now for me, it's like, cool, I got a mustache, I like mustaches. It's not that
yeah, but it's not that we're saying that mustaches need to be halved to be men. It's just that they like me, for instance. I'm not saying the facial hair needs to be halved. Yeah, it's just something that my alignment with it feels more grounded when I have facial hair.
And every person has a different alignment.
Yes.
Okay. I guess that's just my like hang up. Like I understand it. It's just every person has a different alignment with what gender is. But I guess for me, it's still, I don't think there's a such thing as men. So you're not aligning to except for what society, or it's not even society, because sometimes people don't align to what society thinks a man is. Just like, because of the social construct. It's just going to be
about what's typical in that society, right? So like being a man typically in like a Western sense is going to look different than being a man typically in like an African culture, or like an Eastern European culture or Asian culture. Like being what qualities of manhood that are going to be different in all of these. And it's just looking at the typical. It's not saying that this is required or this is necessary. Just this is what is typical in this society and how I engage with that.
Okay. I'm getting it now. So what you're saying is, my definition is wait, how did you say I should phrase it? Because again, like, I think we agree. I think I'm just phrasing what I want to say incorrectly towards people.
So the definition I use for man is an adult.
Well, no, not the definition, but not the definition, but how you were saying, like, because again, for me, it's the concept. I don't believe in gender. Like if you believe you're a man, that's fine. I don't believe in men and women. So how would I phrase that like, hey, you believe in it, I don't.
Well, you just say you just talk about your alignment with it. So like you would just go, I don't align with either man or woman. Like I don't feel that these traits like match up with me in any way, shape, or form. Right? That's all it's talking about, because you recognize that those traits may align for other people. Right? And that for other people, they may feel that affinity, but you don't feel that affinity in either of those two gender classifications.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I want to look into is because I looked into this a minute ago, haven't had time to work and stuff, but it's how it affects the brain. I guess that's the thing that I want to look into. How does it actually affect the person? Because I know, so it's crazy how we got on this. Me and my homie do this. He's probably in your chat or whatever. He recommended me to this. We do this thing called head ass takes, and we get a crazy idea. We go from there, and the idea started with transracialism, and then we're like, okay, you can't do that stuff, and then it was like, well, the gender thing, because they're both social constructs, though, you know what I'm saying? Oh, but this is in the head, and we just kind of like left it there. So with that, what is it that is in the head versus racial? I think, yeah, because race is not in the head, gender's in the head. What is it in the head that you can like link me to that I can look into? You know what I'm saying? I can go from there.
There's a few studies on the brain, but when we're talking about what it's in the head, it's just that our brains have this this propensity to align with social categories and social norms. And gender, as a naturally evolving social category of people, our brains have just sort of taken like a big. Actually, what tomorrow's Thursday, right? Does anyone know who's on TACUS tomorrow? That would be because if Dr. Ben is on, that might be a really good way for you to get this information a little bit more streamlined than I can give it to you. Give me 1 second to see.
All right.
It's Lux and Josie. That's still pretty good. So over on the line, they do the Transatlantic Call-In show every Thursday, where there's trans hosts who talk about this. I know Dr. Ben has a lot of information on this, being that they're an actual medical professional. Even the problem is okay. So the problem is twofold. One, when we're looking at the brain in neuroscience, we've sort of accepted conditionally that like our brains sort of gender themselves. Like our brains look at they look at our and when we say gender themselves, our brains look at our sex, and then our brains make a connection between that sex and the societal categories that it's placed into. Our brains do all of this subconsciously. So our brains go, okay, I'm seeing my sex here and it doesn't really feel right, but hey, what does feel right is aligning with these sort of social norms that have been dictated to this category. Our brains just sort of do this. They do it subconsciously. They do it in the background. We don't think about it. So there are people whose brains say, well, I'm looking at my sex and I don't have an issue here, but my feeling here doesn't align with any of these social norms, which is what it feels like you've been saying, right? It doesn't align with any of these social norms or categories. And because of this, you're like, well, I don't really understand how these should exist. It doesn't make sense to me. For instance, me, being like somebody being trans makes sense to me, but I will never understand how that feels in the brain because I'm not. Like I physically don't, like I get how it feels for me to be a man. Like it's pretty straightforward for me. I just feel like I just am. But like I can empathize, but I can't place myself in the shoes of a trans person and understand how they're feeling because it's just not the way my brain is wired to work. Same with yours. So I that's sort of the long and short of it, but I know you might be able to get a little more information if you call TACUS tomorrow. They start at 3 p.m. Eastern is when TACUS starts over on the line. So they might be able to like expand on that a lot more than I can.
Okay. No, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, you have a good one.
Yeah, you too. We love lost me in the very beginning, but then instantly I was like, oh no, I'll say they because I know they didn't say they affirm with any pronouns. They lost me in the beginning, and then when I realized, I was like, oh no, they are like preaching gender abolition because they don't align with gender in the way that I might, the way that somebody else might, you know. What did Jess say? I keep missing the message. I'll talk to you tomorrow, then call her. All right, let's go. We still got a bunch of people in the calling queue, so let's bring them up. Now we have another person named Bill. Okay, we're gonna bring up this other person named Bill who doesn't think trans men and women are men and women because of the reality or science of it all. So let's see if Bill can really handle the conversation on a scientific level. Bill, if you're listening, can you please provide me your age and pronouns?
Hi, it's going to be 26, and then I don't believe in pronouns.
Okay, you don't believe in pronouns at all.
I mean, I believe them as a grammar tool, but
Okay, so then I don't know. So then I don't know what your issue would be with telling me what your pronouns are. If you believe in them as a grammar tool.
I just don't believe them in the way that you're constructing them.
What's the way I'm constructing them? I'm using them as a grammar tool, as a replacement for a noun.
Okay, I'm a man, so.
Okay, and what would your man pronouns be?
I mean, I'm speaking in the first person, so.
Great. This show is watched by hundreds of people. So what would your man pronouns be, Bill? Other people will be talking about you.
Okay, then they can refer to me as a man. So if they refer to me in the third, it would be a he, I guess.
There you go. 1.5 minutes to get to you just saying he. Crazy. Now you want to talk about trans men and women or men and women. You don't believe they're men and women. Is that correct?
I don't. I believe that they are the biological sex that they were born as.
Okay, I'm not talking about sex though. So, did you want to keep having the conversation? Because I'm not. I'm talking about
I don't
gender.
believe in a difference between. Yeah, I don't think that there is any distinction similar to the last caller between sex and gender.
Okay, you think sex and gender are the exact same thing?
Correct.
Okay, so when we say women, we just mean like all females would be women and all males would be men.
Correct.
Okay, you sure you want to stick with that?
Yep. So all people born female are female.
Well, no, not so. Hold on. I don't know why you're adding people to this. Our sex and gender are the same. All females would be women, not just all people, because they're the same. Are you telling me there is a difference?
All human beings born with X chromosomes.
Why are you adding human beings?
Why am I adding human beings? It's a discussion over.
If sex and gender are the same, it would apply to anything that has sex, not just humans. Sex isn't specific to humans.
Okay, correct. But this is a discussion on human trans people.
Yes, I know, but you've made the claim that all females are women, that sex and gender are the same thing. That would remove all lines on human and people. Because part of the difference between sex and gender is the fact that gender belongs to humans, because it's a social category. But you're claiming there is no social category. It's all just the biological. So that would remove the human aspect.
Okay, well, I mean, we can discuss the animal kingdom as well, but I was just hoping that we would discuss human trans issue.
Well, you remove the human because you said all that sex and gender are different. So you remove the human aspect. Part of gender is acknowledging that it's the social category that humans have come up with within their own cultures and societies. You said gender is just the same as sex, so you've removed the human part. Now it's sex. Sex doesn't just exist in humans, it exists in all animals and it exists in plants. So so do you still believe that sex and gender are the same thing?
I don't believe that gender is any type of useful delineation between men and women. I believe that.
Well, I'm not asking about its usefulness. I'm just asking about its existence. Does gender exist?
Sure. Gender exists in the same way that I would call it personality. I think that people have different personalities, and I think that is a more useful delineation between men and women than any type of gender construct. We can agree that gender is something socially referred to, but I don't believe that it has any basis in someone's biological being of a man or a woman.
Well, you're doing that again. Man and woman would not be biological terms. They never really have been. They've been social terms to refer to social categories that we place males and females into, but they're not biological terms. Male and female would be biological terms because they refer to the biological makeup of sexual reproducing beings. So which are we talking about here? Are we talking about sex or are we talking about gender?
Why does your premise literally say trans men and women are men and women? Are you referring to trans zebras, trans
What?
whales?
Because men and women are social terms that exist within people, and I'm talking about people. If I was talking about male and female, I could be talking about any creature in the animal kingdom and or plants, but I'm not. I'm talking specifically about people. So I'm using gendered categories because gender refers to people.
Okay. So then at what point does someone then go from being a person born as they are to then becoming a trans person?
What do you mean by born as they are?
As biological men or women?
Again, biological men and women are not a term. Men and women are not biological terms. So what do you mean when you say biological man? What do you mean? What does that mean?
Someone born with XY chromosomes.
That's a male.
Yep.
We have a term for that. It's not biological man. The term for that would be male.
Okay. Male. So at what point then does a biological male then go from being a biological male to then being a trans male or a trans woman, whatever you want to call it?
Whenever they start engaging with their gender, and whenever their brain makes the subconscious decision of engagement of like the perception of their sex and how that sex orients with like the larger society at whole.
Okay.
Can happen as early. I mean, we see gender dysphoria take place as early as like 7.
Mm-hmm. So that's prepubescent in the case of males.
It would be prepubescent in the case of anybody that has gender dysphoria as early as 7.
So in someone who's having gender dysphoria as early as 7, you're saying that before they've even determined their own sexuality or
sexuality doesn't have anything to do with your gender. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just finishing my point.
Mm-hmm.
Before they've had any type of pubescent biological maturation or determined any type of sexuality, any type of other defining characteristics into adulthood, you're saying that they could become trans?
I'm saying that they would have gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria and being trans are not simultaneous, are not the same thing. But even if they were trans, no, they've never been.
That's not true. They were in the DSM-4.
Nope. Gender dysphoria was not in the DSM-4.
DSM-3, then it was.
Gender dysphoria was not in the DSM-3.
Gender dysphoria used to be a DSM classified mental condition.
Gender dysphoria is in the DSM-5 and has only ever been in the DSM-5. And it's in the DSM-5 per the American Psychological Association so that they can give, the people who write the DSM-5 have said, we've put it in there so that we can give a coding to gender dysphoria so that we can provide adequate medical treatment for gender dysphoria. It's not in there because we think it's some psychological condition. Gender dysphoria just refers to an immense amount of stress you feel when your gender doesn't align with your sex assigned at birth. Gender dysphoria has never meant being trans. Both trans and cisgender people can suffer from gender dysphoria. In fact, elderly cisgender women tend to suffer from gender dysphoria as they're aging. Men with micropenises suffer from gender dysphoria. It affects anybody of any type. It doesn't have anything to do with being trans. It just means your gender identity does not align with your sex.
Yeah, I understand. I'm saying that that's not a real phenomenon. I'm saying my full stance, if I could get it out, would be that anyone experiencing the belief that they are of the opposite gender is suffering from a mental condition.
Okay, what's your evidence of that?
Can I finish? And that's not to say that I don't feel for them suffering from their mental condition, but I don't believe in affirmation of that, what I would consider to be a delusion. Then I also would not say that that has any basis in reality, similar to other DSM-5 mental conditions.
What is your evidence that it's a delusion?
The delusion? What is my evidence for that? Well, it's just not. Because there's no basis in reality.
Yes, there is.
What is your evidence that they are trans men and women?
What's my evidence that they are trans men and women? Because they're men and women whose gender identity would not align with their sex, thus making them trans.
Okay. Why does that only apply when it comes to gender?
Because
Why does that
gender
not apply about age or socioeconomic condition or race?
Because none of those things are internal senses of self like gender is. None of all of those things are
Race,
external. Race, no, race is not an external classification. Or an internal classification. Race is an external classification. So like, I don't decide I'm black because I'm black. I decide I'm black. I don't decide I'm black because I have some internal belief I'm black. I decide I'm black because I've been placed into a legal classifier of black. Black didn't exist as a race until like early, like what, 12th century, I think is when we started seeing black as a race be separate from white. Like, I don't know if you know that. You could look up like Gomez de Ferrer and see like how race was like founded.
Race has always been something that is externally characterized.
Correct.
I would agree with you.
Gender is not an external classification. It's an
But
internal.
so is gender.
No, it's not. It's an internal classification.
You can immediately identify someone of being of either the same or the opposite.
That doesn't make it an external classification. You can be wrong about your immediate observation because gender is an
100%.
internal classification. Incorrect.
Males have protruding Adam's apples that are
if I see
visible.
somebody who has gotten, let's say they're indistinguishable. They're a trans man who is indistinguishable from looking like me. And you see them and you say that's a man and they go, "Yes, I'm a trans man." You go, "Oh, wait, no, you're actually a woman." This incoherent block here shows that gender is not an external classification because your external classification on them was wrong, according to you. Your external classification was wrong. No, it does matter, yes. Because you can't, your classification, no, because your classification of someone does not dictate whether that person is or is not a man or a woman, because gender is a neurosocial concept that exists within our brains.
I agree with you. My individual determination on someone's race, I mean, there could be a mixed race person and I could misidentify what races makes up that person's ancestry. I could perhaps misidentify someone who's really good at disguising the fact that they're a biological man. I could easily make those mistakes, but that does not change the fact that by and large, you can 100% tell someone is a man if they have male characteristics, or if someone is a woman if they have woman characteristics.
So let's break this down super simply. Let's see if your logic holds up here. What are the characteristics that you must possess in order to be a man?
A Adam's apple,
Okay, so I'm already going to write you off. I'm already going to write you off as somebody with just a crazy lack of understanding because every single female has an Adam's apple.
Okay, that's why I said protruding.
Females have protruding Adam's apples, Bill.
In what cases?
In like most of them.
If you're going to give me edge cases, that doesn't make the whole wrong just because you can provide me with a couple of edge cases.
It's not edge cases. Tons of females have protruding Adam's apples. It's less common than it is in men, but it's like still a fairly common thing.
Okay. Then penises and testicles.
Okay, so you have to have a penis and you have to have a testicle to be a man.
Yes, but there are, I already know where you're going to go with this. There are the edge cases of intersex people, but those are such a small minority that does not make the rule false.
Okay. So, Bill, here becomes an issue here. I'm asking you to tell me what is required to be a man. What is it that is required of someone to be a man? And you're saying, well, this is required, but there are going to be some cases where it's not required. So if it's not required, it's not required. So like, what is the requirement to be, I'm going to ask you very plainly, what is the necessary condition that is required of someone to possess in order to be a man? What is necessary? What do they have to have? Because if you're saying, hey, there are some men, you have to have a penis, but some men don't have penises. Those are edge cases. Trans men would be the edge case.
XY chromosomes.
Okay, so you have to have XY chromosomes to be a man.
Correct.
Okay, so people who are born with like, let's say XY chromosomes, but they have uteruses and they can give birth, what would they be?
They would be intersex people.
Intersex is not its own category. Intersex is a list of conditions that affect males and females. So what would this person be?
Well, what are the more defining characteristics? Because you and I both know that when someone is born intersex, and I'm going to continue using that term because
I don't mind that you use the term intersex, but you're using it wrong scientifically. Scientifically, intersex is not its own category. It is a list of conditions that are affect males and females. So when you go, there's intersex people, what you should be saying is there's people with intersex conditions.
Okay. Well, colloquially, we both know what I'm saying. And what I am going to then say, we also both know to be true, that when someone is born with an intersex condition, to use your term, they usually have, in the vast majority of cases, defining characteristics towards one sex or the other sex, which is why doctors usually make a determination and ask the parents if they would like to keep it the way it is, or if they would like them to grow up as one or the other sex.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that when your necessary condition fails, you just look to another condition. So your necessary condition was never necessary to begin with. So what one is necessary?
Someone is born with 15 fingers as a part of a genetic mutation or a chromosomal condition. That does not then mean that we write down in our scientific literature that all men have 15 fingers.
Can you show me? Can you show me anywhere in science where we say that it's a necessary condition of human just to have 10 fingers? Because we don't. We don't claim that 10 fingers is necessary to be a human. So yes, when someone has more than 10 fingers, we go that they can still be human because we never said it was necessary to have 10 to begin with. Okay, you're telling me it is necessary to have. I'm asking you, what is the necessary condition to be a man? And you said it is having a penis, or I'm sorry, you said it is having XY chromosomes, but there are going to be men who don't have XY chromosomes. There are going to be some women who do have XY chromosomes. So so clearly that's not the necessary condition. So what is the actual thing that is necessary for you to possess to be classified as a man?
Yes, XY chromosomes. And then what I was saying is that there are cases of people born with chromosomal conditions, but that does not then mean that we throw out the overall classification.
Yes, it does. Necessary conditions can have zero exceptions. That's why they're called necessary. I didn't say typical conditions. I didn't say sufficient conditions. I said necessary. The word necessary means zero exceptions.
Single thing.
There are zero exceptions to a necessary.
Get your opinion then. So you're basically saying that there is no way that we can classify or rank or put into a list or sort any human being on planet Earth because
nope, that would be a straw man. Nope, never claimed that. I never claimed there wasn't a necessary condition. I'm asking for what your necessary condition is.
If you don't want me to straw man you, then I'm going to ask you, how would you classify males?
As soon as we are finished boiling down your logic, you can then boil down my logic. But we haven't finished with yours yet. So why are we going to move to mine?
I'm sticking with my premise. I think XY.
Okay, so your premise is logically flawed. There are men who do not have XX chromosomes, or do not have XY chromosomes. There are women with XY chromosomes. You've claimed it is necessary, and now you're claiming, oh, well, there are going to be some people that it's not necessary for them to have, meaning that you have told me that your logic is fundamentally flawed. Now, if you admit, hey, my logic is fundamentally flawed, then we can get onto if you want to push my position, we can easily push my position.
Let me ask a follow-up question then. If there are men who don't have XY chromosomes but then are still called men in your view, then what is making those non-XY chromosome having men?
Great. What I think the necessary condition to be a man is to have a gender identity that aligns with your social schema on the male sex. And as long as you have that, you're a man.
The gender identity? What is gender identity then?
Gender identity would be your subjective perception of your sex and the way your sex is oriented in your body.
Okay, so what is the gender identity of a man?
I didn't say that somebody had a gender identity of a man. That's not what I said.
You just did.
Nope.
You just said,
I said to be a man. Nope. Bill, what I need you to do is get off the script. You have a script right now that you're waiting and you're hoping that I say stuff that align with your script, and you're not listening to the actual words that are coming out of my mouth. Because if you listened to the actual words coming out of my mouth, you would have heard that my necessary condition is to have a gender identity that aligns with your personal schema on the male sex. Not to have a gender identity of man, not to have a gender identity of woman. That's not what I said.
Yeah. So every single person could have a different idea of what it is that makes their gender identity male-oriented?
Nope. Your gender identity is your brain's subjective perception of your sex and the way that's oriented in your body. It's not a conscious thing. It's a subconscious thing. You don't have any control over it.
Right, but if there is no definition of what it is to be a man or have a male gender identity, if there is no classification to what that actually
There is a
is,
definition of what it is to be a man. It's the one I just told you. Having a gender identity that aligns with your social schema on the male sex. It's not a circular. I don't use the phrase man in my definition of man. It can't be circular.
Okay. You're not telling me what a male gender identity is.
Because I didn't say that you needed to have a male gender identity, Bill. You're not listening to the words that come out of my mouth. I'm not saying you have to have a male gender identity. I'm saying your gender identity, which would be the way your body subjectively looks at your sex and the way that sex is oriented in your body. Your brain goes, okay, I'm looking at my sex. My sex is male. And this sex, your brain does this subconsciously, by the way, goes, okay, this sex feels in alignment with the way my brain has categorized males. So my brain has subconsciously categorized males. That's what a schema is. It's your own subconscious categorization. Right there, what?
So right there, what is the brain categorizing as the schema for male?
That would be different for every single person because every person's schema is slightly different.
Okay. So then that's my question then. So every single person is categorizing a slightly different definition of what it is to be male?
No, they're not categorizing a definition. I don't know what, Bill, I don't know why you're having a trouble understanding these words. So definitions are just talking about concepts. Here, I'll make it easy for you. I'll give you an example. Can you define what a friend is for me?
A friend is usually a close person to you who you've had shared experiences with over a perhaps long period of time.
Okay, now how do I, like, let's say we take me, Jovan. How do I determine when somebody becomes my friend? How long is the long period of time? Who determines the length of that? How many close experiences do we have to have? How close do we have to be? Who determines all of this?
Traditionally, it would be the person who is engaging in the friendship.
Okay. So you're telling me that we have millions of different definitions for friend because everybody decides individually how friends are and how a friend becomes a friend to them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So it's the same with gender, Bill. It's literally the same thing. If you can get on board with this concept for things like friend, you can get on board with this concept for things like man and woman. It's the same thing. You decide because certain things are subjective to the individual. Like your schema around what males and females are going to be different for every single person. Your gender identity is going to be different for every single person.
Right, but then you're forgetting, like we discussed earlier, that this is something that is defined by your own body's chemistry, your own body's hormones, your own body's sex.
It's not defined by hormones.
That you were born with. It 100% is defined by hormones.
No, it isn't.
XY chromosome bodies produce different hormones than XX chromosome bodies produce, thus leading to different brain chemistry.
It's not defined by your hormones. No.
You are.
No, you're 100%.
Not. You are. Then why do women need to take estrogen or maybe I'm getting it backwards, but why do trans people need to take hormone therapy?
Trans people take hormones because they would like the phenotypic expression of their body to align with their gender identity. They would like the phenotypic expression of their sex because we live in a society in which sex has been conflated with gender. So we have typical expressions of men and women that are viewed by specific sexual attributes, like having breasts. And one of the things HRT can do is increase your breast tissue.
But you just told me that we don't need any of that because it's all defined subjectively.
Yes, they're not taking HRT so that they can be a woman. They're taking, for instance, like a trans woman is not taking HRT to become a woman. They're taking HRT so that their body, their outward expression of their body, can look more like what is typical of women in that given society. That's it.
You just told me that each person can subjectively define what their own gender
Correct. That's why
aligns
some
with.
trans people never go on HRT because they don't feel the need for it.
I'm not saying that hormones are the end-all be-all. I'm just saying that why would they try to outwardly change their appearance if
Because
it's
they
all
would like their body to match what is typical in that society of that gender category. It's
But
just
it's the
about
same across
aligning with
all
what
human
looks.
society.
It's the same reason why a lot of men wear beards, because beards have become fairly common in our society around men.
well,
So
then
men like to
what
grow
about
beards
top
because
surgery?
that makes them feel more like men.
Okay, then what about top surgery?
Same answer.
Why would you ever undergo top surgery, or why would you ever
Same answer I
undergo
just
penile
gave you
surgery?
for HRT. It's the exact same answer.
Okay, but it's the same. It's not as simple as
Why do
Western
why do
hemisphere-
cisgender women get
Can I
breast
Can I
implants?
finish?
Because
It's
you're
not
not,
the
Bill, you're
same
not
as-
saying anything. You're genuinely not understanding the words that I'm saying, and you're making these weird straw man arguments around non-issues.
I'm not putting words into your mouth at all. I'm making my own argument. It's not a straw man in the slightest. I'm saying,
Absolutely straw.
why would someone undergo top surgery or penile surgery or vagina surgery if they're not trying to
Vaginoplasty.
change these? Sure. Okay.
Because
thank
they
you.
would
But
like
why would they
the
undergo these
phenotypic
surgeries?
representation of their sex to align
but
with
it
what
doesn't
is
change across
typical
society.
in that
These are the
society. I don't know how many
two
times I can answer this question.
But it's the same across all societies worldwide and for all of human history. These are the defining characteristics of those genders.
Do I have
of
to
those
answer, do I have to
sexes.
answer this again?
The reason is that they're undergoing this to affirm their own delusions that are all mental.
You've not been able to prove it's a delusion. So, I mean, you can keep saying that, but without you being able to substantiate it, I don't know what we're doing here. So, I mean,
prove a negative.
it's not proving their delusional is not proving a negative. That would be you proving a positive.
How do you prove a schizophrenic person is truly experiencing delusions when it actually feels
Sure,
very,
let's
very real?
let's do it so simply. Let's do it so simply. What is the medical body in the United States that determines whether something is a mental illness or whether something counts as delusional? What's the medical body that does this?
The American Psychiatric Association.
It's the psychological one actually, but yes, has the American Psychological Association ever, or currently, under all current aspects of the American Psychological Association, do they equate being trans with mental illnesses?
They used to.
I'm not asking about what they used to. They also used to think being gay was a mental illness. Do you believe being gay is a mental illness?
No.
Okay, great. So we understand that just because they used to believe something doesn't mean that they haven't gotten counter evidence to now believe differently, right?
I don't believe that they've gotten sufficient counter evidence.
Based on what? What evidence do you have to prove they don't have counter evidence?
Based on information that, like,
what information?
What do you need? Like,
what information? You've now made a claim that they do not have sufficient counter evidence. So what is your proof that they don't have sufficient counter evidence?
Well, there's the NHS study out of the UK showing that even post-op trans people don't have really higher rates of satisfaction, feeling.
That is incorrect.
Affirmed.
That is an incorrect reading of the study. I guarantee you, if you provide the study name, I guarantee you I know exactly what study you're mentioning, and I promise you that you are misreading the study. If you'd like me to show you, give me the name of the study, and I will show you how in the study it is going to tell you that you are wrong.
I do apologize because I don't have the actual name of the study pulled up, but I do remember about a month ago reading that study that came out in the UK, which is actually partially why they led to just banning puberty blockers.
They didn't ban puberty blockers. They're just doing it on a research model now.
Okay.
It's just on a research
Whatever.
model. It's not
Either
banned.
way.
Either way, what?
Either
It
way,
isn't
okay.
banned. It's done on a research model now. It isn't banned. You
don't
can
even
still get it.
I will admit that I don't understand what doing something on a research model even means.
It means that before, when you were given puberty blockers, you just sort of could fade back into the system, and they didn't really know how it affected you. Now they're just monitoring the people that they do give puberty blockers to because they're currently researching it. And all of the changes came from the came out of the CAS report, and the authors of the CAS report have already said that the response to their reports are not what the reports actually say, which is, hey, we need to ban this. No, they said this is not what we're talking about in the reports. We're just saying make sure that you put every child that takes this into a clinical case study so we can fucking measure this shit. Bill, I need you to do a little better. Feel free to call back when you have some more information, because this is
I have some more
sort of
studies.
sad.
I'm going. I mean,
Okay, provide
like
if you have the
setting me up.
name of the study, great. I would love to see the name of the study if you have something with an actual title.
Well, how do you grapple with trans suicide rates pre and post-op? Because there hasn't
Post-op
been
they
shown
lower.
too much- What?
Post-op they lower. There's like a 70% decline.
I do not believe it's a 70% decline.
Provide me a
Either
study
way,
then that shows
overall,
me that there is not a decline.
Overall, trans suicide rates are sitting around 35 to 40%, and I'm
They
not
lower
using that as-
post-transition.
Hold on.
You want me to give
I'm
you
not
some names
using
of
it-
studies to prove to you that they lower post-transition?
Well, it doesn't matter though, because the overall trans community faces a suicide rate of around 35 to 40%.
Yes, and
as
every
a group.
Bill, every study that's done a causality on that, what have they said is the reason?
So they say is because society does not affirm them.
Okay, do you have what? No. It's societal and familial stigmatization. So do you have any
Correct.
counter studies that show a different causality?
So, well, yes, it's not a counter study, but I could give you some other things to grapple with.
Give me something
Why
that
is-
shows the cause. I don't want to grapple with Bill. I don't want you to give me something to grapple with. No, we have direct studies to show the causality. Okay, you're saying it's a different causality, so I expect some piece of academic information to show the actual causality of the suicide.
Okay, just let me throw you this. There has never been a suicide rate recorded higher, except for Jews in the Holocaust.
Holy
the
shit,
concentration
doesn't matter. I want a piece of
No,
academic
it does
information.
matter.
No, I want a
Let
piece
me-
of academic
let me
information that actually
let me just
confirm.
finish.
Bill, no, Bill, because
Let
what you're
me
doing.
finish.
No, Bill, because I don't care about speculation. I don't care that you believe.
Not
I don't do feelings. You are doing feelings, Bill. I don't deal in feelings. When I'm having conversations about the rates of things, when I'm having conversations about the actual effects of stuff, I don't do feelings. So unless you have a piece of academic research that verifies a causality as something different from what the litany of studies on the causality tell us, which is societal and familial stigmatization, I don't want to hear it. Do you have a piece of academic research, or are you just pulling something out of your ass?
I'm not pulling anything out of my ass. Just listen for a second and let me finish a point. I'm saying, do you think that the rates of trans stigmatization have gone up or down in the last 45 years?
Up.
You think that they've gone up in the
Absolutely.
last 45 years?
Correct.
Absolutely. Caitlyn Jenner won ESPN's Woman of the Year in 2015.
Does not matter.
And you think that
Whoop-de-doo.
trans rates of stigmatization have gone up?
Yes, I think the rate of societal acceptance for trans people has declined. I think the amount of stigmatization that they receive has increased. One of the examples of this will be the fact that about 10 years ago, nobody cared what bathroom trans people used. Now, all they give a fuck, that's half of what's in the conversation. There are bills being written about it that weren't written about 10 years ago. Yes, there are 500 plus anti-LGBTQ bills that have been introduced to House or Senate in different states alone this year. Yes. Now, you have again given me no academic things to back up what you're saying. So do you have an answer to me that is not just, I feel this way? Does that exist for you?
According to Gallup research, there has never been higher rates of open trans individuals in public. I think the study cited that 1/13 of Gen Z identifies as transgender. So in a society that has had trans stigmatization
I
go
would
up
love
in the
to
last
know.
45 years, why does
I would love to know, Bill, really quickly. I'd love to know why, when I asked for academic information, you gave me Gallup, which is a management company. They're not. Gallup is not academia. Yes, Gallup is a management country. Yes, surveys are done by a literal management company. They are not academic research. I would love a piece of academia.
So you don't think that the rates of trans identifying individuals has gone
I think
up
the
in
rates of trans people have absolutely gone up. I think they've been going up despite further and further pushes from society to crack down on them. Yes. Can you provide me a piece of academia? Yes or no, Bill?
I just did.
Gallup is not academia. Gallup is not
It's one of the most
academia.
well-respected
Gallup
surveys.
is not academia. Just doing a survey does not make you a part of academia.
What are you
Gallup
talking-
surveys are
Polls
not
that
peer
show the entire
reviewed.
polling
Gallup
unit.
surveys are not peer reviewed. Gallup doesn't have to tell you the methodology in which they get their survey data. They don't, like, what are you
They
talking
do
about?
tell you their methodology.
They don't
Gallup
have
is one of the
to
most
because they're not
well-respected
okay, I'll see you, Bill. It was fun, but maybe next time you can have some actual information. Gallup is not academia. I don't know how the fuck. Shout out to Gray. Sorry it took so long, but I really needed to get to why he was stupid about that shit. Gallup is not academia, homie. Never has been. And yes, I do think that acceptance for trans people has been on the decline. I think, I'll say it this way. Here's how I'll say it. I think acceptance for trans people has been on the incline in left-leaning spaces. I think the overall political landscape and the overall societal landscape of the United States, it's on a decline. We can see this in the fact that trans people are now in major news and media all the time. The fucking goddamn head of the Department of Homeland Security blamed trans people for fucking Charlie Kirk's shooting. What do you mean they're not vilified more? Get the fuck out of here. It's so boring, dude. Like, they can't provide anything. Okay, we're gonna go on a brief break. I gotta use the bathroom, and then I'm gonna also, how long have I been live? Like 2 hours. I'm also gonna grab a little lunch. We're gonna go on a brief break, minimum 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes, and then we shall return for more debates. We have a couple people on the call-in line, so if you're in the call-in line, please stay in the call-in line for when we get back. Okay, be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Glad you're still here with me. I have my lunch. Don't worry, I will mute myself whenever I'm chomping on my lunch. But it is lunchtime and I need to eat. We're going to continue with the debates today. I'm not really sure how this next one's going to go, but we're going to see what's up. Thank you again to everybody that super chatted. I will read all the super chats at the end, I promise. Let me go through my Twitch stuff so that we have it. There. Hardcore Pornography, great name. Thank you for resubscribing on using your Amazon Prime for your 13th month. Tobin Frost, thank you for resubscribing for 12 months at tier 1. Jesus Christ, thank you so much for resubscribing for 12 months. Gibson Girl 200, thank you for resubscribing for your 35th month actually. Thank you for resubscribing and being here. Shadow Wolf, thank you for resubscribing for 2 months at tier 2. Thank you for resubscribing. Exotic Bimbis, thank you for subscribing for 2 months at tier 1. Thank you guys for supporting the Twitch stream and being here over on the Twitch. Remember, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you do get 1 free Twitch sub a month. Consider using it to me. Speaking of Amazon, we do still have our holiday gift goal, our holiday toy drive. I got like another 4 crates worth of toys the other day. So I have to like go through. This is crazy when you guys see how much toys we're going to have for the toy drive. So thank you guys for those. I don't think we've had anybody that's become a member on YouTube, but if you want to become a YouTube member, become a YouTube member. It's a great way to support the channel over on YouTube and you get early access to videos. If you want to support the stream directly, like if you were like, I want to directly support, how do I support the call-in number, Jovan? You have a call-in number and a call-in line. How do I support that directly? Well, Cash App and Venmo goes directly to supporting the call-in line. So if you want to support that, Cash App or Venmo is a great way to do that. All of those go directly. Did I get any of those today, by the way? I did. I got one. Brienne, thank you for the Venmo. I got a couple of them actually. Said, Bill, public education failed you. Holy shit, did it ever. Thank you so much, Brienne, for the Venmo. And then thank you to, what was that other one that I just saw? Shit. Thank you to Amber for the Cash App for education. Thank you, Amber, and thank you, Brienne, for supporting the show. Let's keep it going. We're going to bring in our next guest. Next up, coming on the stream, we have Cam, who says there is a good reason to believe in Christianity like there is for any religion. Cam, if you can hear me, please provide me your age and pronouns.
I am 24, and my pronouns are any.
Pronouns are any, no problem, Cam. Cam, now you said there is good enough reason to believe in Christianity like any religion. I actually think there's no good reason to believe in any religion. I think skepticism is the best, but specifically Christianity, what would you say are the good reasons to believe in Christianity?
Well, as it's as with any religion, like it's not a material thing, and it depends on what you believe is a good point of it. Like, for example, like I could say like it brings structure into my life. It can be it helped me get out of like addiction. Like, even though like it's different for every single person, and it's not like a structured thing like it used to be back in like the old church.
Okay, 1 second. Just want to make sure I'm not chewing into the mic. So, Cam, what would be the reason to believe in Christianity over something else? So, like, for instance, you said one of the things is Christianity can lead them out of addiction. What can also lead you out of addiction is like proper counseling and mental health care. What would be the reason why we would say there's a good reason to believe in Christianity over believing in proper mental health counseling or something like that?
Well, it all comes down to the reason, like what works best for you. Like, someone can have a Nantia effect to like therapy or something like that, but if they have a belief in like Jesus Christ, they could have more of a panacea effect when they get out of their addiction through belief. Like, it's all about like just how your mind works. It's very subjective.
Mm-hmm. I agree that it's subjective, and I agree that there are reasons for people to believe in Christianity. So far, I'm not convinced that any of these reasons you've listed are good reasons to believe in Christianity over a litany of other things, right? Because I'm specifically talking about Christianity specifically. What would be the reason that they should believe in Christianity, for example, over like Buddhism? Why is this the thing that they're believing in? And why is that reason good that they believe in this? I guess to explain, the topic is saying what is the good reason that someone believes in essentially magic?
If it makes them feel like better, then it's good. That's my whole like thing is like, if they feel good about themselves by believing in this, then it's good. If they don't, then it's bad.
Would you say if somebody joins a cult and that cult makes them feel better about themselves while robbing them blind of all their savings and annexing them from the people they love, would you still say that like, oh, this is good though because they feel better about themselves?
No, because the external factors outweigh that, but Christianity is not like in that sort of range where, yeah, there are some Christian sects that do that, but it's not all of them. Like, I could say like early Christians, like some of them, I forgot what his name is, Marcion, didn't believe like the Old Testament was a valid like source of like religion. Like, it's very ambiguous, and basically how I become to perceive it is like, if you're not hurting yourself with it, and it makes yourself feel good about yourself, then it's good. Like,
Okay.
cults are a different thing because you're hurting yourself by going into the cult, because the cult is using you. But but even though that you feel good about yourself, it would be bad then because it's hurting you.
Okay. Do you acknowledge that Christianity as a religious belief has led to a numerous amount of atrocities across the globe throughout history?
Yes, but that can be said with a lot of religions. The Yellow Turban Rebellion,
I agree.
like
I agree. Hold on. I do agree
like-
with that. But I want to say, I'm asking about your good reason to believe in Christianity. If you're saying that you acknowledge that Christianity and that belief has led to a litany of human atrocities across the globe, would you acknowledge that the more people that are engaging in this belief in religion, the more power that belief or religion would have to commit these said atrocities?
yes, but like, it's the same with any sort of idea, like how capitalism is like the main like driving ideology of the world, and it commits atrocities every single day. It's a fact of life.
Well, but hold on. But are you saying like it's okay to believe in Christianity because everybody else commits atrocities too? That just feels like we're just making an excuse.
It's not an excuse. It's literally just like a fact that someone's personal belief like shouldn't be infringed upon because of other people.
I'm not talking about infringing on their belief. I think they have the right to believe in it. I'm saying there's just no good reason to.
I mean, in your opinion, there's no good reason for them, but like for other people, like it might be a good reason. Like, as I said, like it helps them get through life. Like, the moral subjectivity of religion is that it's not really it's like if I believed in like the flying spaghetti monster and I prayed to him every single day, like there's no harm done with that. It only happens when like religion is organized to a way to harm other people. And I feel like for like a lot of like the old line Protestants and then even like Catholics and Orthodoxy, like it's getting slowly better to where like it's where things like that is going to be a thing of the past rather than something that's always going to be happening, because religions change with our morals, because it's a construct and a concept and not something that's material and founded in like a real basis. Like it's not material.
My response to this though, Cam, would be I don't think just because you had a experience with religion or because you've used religion as a tool to get your life better or whatever this might be, that that's a good reason to believe in magic. You know what I mean?
I mean, I disagree, because like it's, again, like what's considered good to you might be considered bad to me, and what's considered good to me might be considered bad to you. Like what's good and bad is a relative thing.
I don't disagree that good and bad are subjective things. I don't disagree with this, but I don't think you have been able to provide me a good enough reason for me to go, we should believe that some dude came back from the dead, and we should believe that virgin births are possible, and we should believe that it's possible to walk on water, or we should believe in a heaven and a hell just because you used the belief of these things as a tool to better your life.
Well, again, I don't feel like everyone should be a Christian. It's a matter of personal perspective. Like I am saying that like there doesn't need to be like the good reason of it is like personal to the person, and not like, and yeah, like for you it might be a bad reason to have like to be a Christian, but for someone else there's good reasons to be a Christian. Like if
I think they have reasons. I think they have plenty of reasons. I just don't think any of those reasons are good. And I agree, it's subjective. But again, religion helped me out of alcoholism is not a reason for me to then go, people can rise from the dead.
I mean, I think it's a fantastical way to view the world, and like, and again, like, you can also make the argument that a lot of it's metaphorical as well. Like, it's a spectrum of like, how literal do you want to take like the text?
Well, the text claims it's supposed to be taking very literal. So if they are operating under the fact that it's metaphorical, then they're not engaging in the religion in the way the religion is telling them to.
My definition of Christianity is like, if you believe in Jesus Christ, then that's the only thing that's really necessary. Like any type of doctrine after, like any doctrine can be interpreted in any way, shape, or form. Like for example, like hot take, like I think Marianism is a acceptable form of Christianity, even though it rejects the entirety of the Old Testament, even though it's like was considered heretical to the early church. But it's still a form of Christianity because it had the belief. They had a belief of their deity.
How can you believe in the deity without proof of the deity or a claim of the deity? And the Old Testament is the claim of the deity.
Because it's all belief. It's not material.
Yes, but again, I could take anything and warp the belief to fit my worldview. And I would say at that point, you're not believing in the belief itself. You're believing in your version of the belief.
exactly. Like and your belief itself is still a Christian belief if you believe in the deity itself.
Yeah, but where does your
Like,
belief
you
in the
don't have to
deity come from? Like, if you're believing in, like, let's say Christianity, which is supposed to be the belief in Christ, the Messiah, the only thing that exists, historically or otherwise, to claim Christ as the Messiah is the Bible. That's the only thing that claims Christ to be a prophet, to be Son of God, to be the Messiah. It's the Bible. If I can look at the Bible and go, well, I believe some things in the Bible and I don't believe others, what is my criteria for what I believe? And at that point, like, it becomes incoherent because you're just placing your belief on whatever you want, which is not what the Bible says. The Bible says if you're going to believe one part of the Bible, you have to believe the whole Bible. You can't just pick and choose what passages mark your belief.
A good friend of mine who's like a great Orthodox has told me, when like referring to the Bible, saying the Bible was written by man, and that the divine machinations of his God is not like man cannot like interpret the divine machinations of God, all that crap. Like it's supposed to be ambiguous.
I know that your friend is saying this, but the Bible disagrees with him. The Bible affirms that every part of Scripture is God-breathed, and God dictates all, and all parts of Scripture must be followed. The Bible doesn't pick and choose, so I don't know why, if we're talking about the actual religion, if the Bible doesn't pick and choose, I don't think we as people can pick and choose. Otherwise, you're not following that religion, you're following your own bastardized version of that religion. And if that's the case, why does it need to be this religion? Just follow something else. You're essentially worshiping a false idol because you don't believe in what this idol actually was or is.
I believe that like people who believe in like the acts of Jesus Christ, love your neighbor and all that crap, are Christian. Like if it's kind of like
how do we know that Jesus believed in loving thy neighbor?
Through the text, but again,
the text of the Bible, that they're saying some of it is not true. So what parts of the Bible am I supposed to believe and disbelieve? What if the loving thy neighbor part of Jesus is not true, like the other parts? What if it's just a parable?
That's the million-year-old question. That's the million-year-old question. That's like scholars have been debating this like since like the creation of the early church about like what is true and what isn't. But at the end of the day, they still all say that they're Christian. It's not whether it's a good or bad reason. It's the point that if it helps you and it doesn't hurt anybody, then it's a good enough reason to believe in it.
Again, I don't think you've convinced me that the reasons are good enough.
And that's fine.
Well, that's the debate. I'm asking for good reason to believe in God, and I don't feel like you've been able to provide it.
I thought the debate was about, is there good reasons to believe in Christianity?
Yes, I think you've provided me good reasons to believe in my own worldview and my own morality, but I don't think you've provided me good reasons to believe in the Christian worldview and Christian morality. Because as you've said, you've talked about people who've taken the text and reworded it or rewarped it to fit what their beliefs are, not what the beliefs of the text actually are. So that's not reason to believe in Christianity. Maybe it's a good reason to believe in like Camism or Jovanism or whoever the people are, but it's not a good reason to believe in Christianity specifically.
If you believe in the deity, then that's the only thing that separates you from Christianity and something else.
No, Christianity is the belief that Jesus is the Messiah. That is very specific.
Yes, and that's the only thing that needs to be. Any other doctrine and anything can be thrown out the window.
No.
Through interpretation of the
No, because the
book.
only reason to believe that Christ is a deity is the book. So you can't cherry pick which parts of the book you believe and don't believe. The book, which affirms Christ's divinity, is also the thing that's saying that you have to follow everything in the book. You can't go, well, I like this. Like, imagine going, I like the part in the Hunger Games where Katniss bakes bread, so I'm going to believe that the rest of the Hunger Games doesn't exist. Then you didn't really, or that was a bad example because she's not the one that bakes bread. Like, if you go, I like Empire Strikes Back. I like Luke, I'm Your Father. But I don't believe in the first movie. I don't like the first movie. I don't think that existed. Well, you don't actually like Star Wars. You like whatever twisted version of Star Wars you've created in your head.
All right.
So is there anything else?
Not really.
All right. Well, Cam, thanks for calling. And you have a good rest of your day.
Yep. You too. I'm gonna keep watching the stream because I really like you.
Oh,
Like,
thanks.
I feel like you're pretty good. Yep.
All right. That was Cam. Yeah, but I think when it comes to like fandom stuff, not if you're gonna go, I'm trying to think of what a good example of this would be. Like, let's say I watch Naruto and I'm like, I only like it's not even fan, it's like I'm going to reinterpret. I like here's what it is. Imagine liking a fan fiction, right? So you don't like any of canon Star Wars. You only like a fan fiction, okay? And you go, well, I like Star Wars. I'm like, no, you don't actually like Star Wars. You only like this version of Star Wars that you created. You don't like actual Star Wars. That's the way I would say it. Yeah, that was a better example than what I had used before. Okay. Time to bring in the next person. Next up, we have Joseph. Now, Joseph thinks that biological sex is foundational to gender. Let's see if Joseph believes this. Joseph, hello. Can you provide me your age and pronouns, please?
Hey, I'm age 39, and I'm a male. So people usually just say he, him, and never had a problem with that.
Okay. Now, Joseph, you say biological sex is essential to gender. How can you substantiate this?
Well, I think trans people kind of prove that when they transition. So,
How do they prove it?
if phenotypical traits are essential to gender affirming care, then and those are created by sex, then yeah, sex is foundational to gender.
Okay.
You need the biology for the gender.
You need the biology for the gender. How is this telling me that gender is essential to sex, or is this telling me that sex is essential to gender, or is this just telling me that sex is essential to whatever societal categories that have been created around gender?
Well, I think gender itself is just how we refer to the sexes from a social point of view rather than from a purely biological point of view.
Okay, then what is necessary in sex that must be present in order for someone to fit into a gender category? Like which specific traits? Which specific traits?
Well, like, pretty much the outcomes of testosterone, masculinizing. I mean, because all of that stuff begins with, the SRY gene and then a cascade of hormonal influences. So.
Yep. So which specific traits, because you've said that sex is foundational to gender. So I'm assuming you believe that these sexual traits are necessary to form that gender. So which traits specifically are necessary?
I guess gonads, hormone levels.
Okay, which hormone levels are necessary, for instance, for someone to be a man?
Well, probably high testosterone. I don't have all the literature in front of me, but
So would you say? So are you saying
want
that?
To get like really technical, or?
Well, no. I'm just wondering. Are you saying that having a higher testosterone than like your estrogen levels are necessary to be a man?
I mean, I'm assuming I don't have the literature in front of me.
Well, I'm just asking what
But
your belief is.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, so it begins with the SRY gene, and then it's there's just a hormonal cascade from there, and then apparently once you're old enough, your testicles or ovaries produce the adult levels of hormones that you need.
Okay, let me break it down a little more so that maybe we can. I'm essentially asking you, because you say sex is a requirement for gender, right? That these sexual traits are a requirement for this gender.
Yeah.
They're not inseparable things. Sex and gender are essentially always in alignment with each other based on these things. Is this what you're saying?
I would say that the traits and the gender are, yes.
Okay.
So
that means in order for you
I'm not
to
arguing
be
chromosomes. I'm not arguing chromosomes. I'm arguing phenotypical traits.
Yeah, so in order for you to be a man, you must have male, I assume, because you're saying it's the sex. You must have male phenotypic traits.
Yeah, fully, or more or less, I guess.
You must
or
less.
I know intersex people, there's nuance there, but we're not really talking about intersex people right now.
Well, if it is necessary to have more or less male phenotypic traits to be a man, what are those traits that you must have?
Let's see. I would imagine a deeper voice, probably very little breast tissue from a normal point of view, penis, balls, probably a higher rate of body hair for your particular ethnic group, I suppose, depending on what it is.
Okay, which of these is the necessary one, or are they all necessary at the same time?
I would say that together they certainly get closer to what we consider man.
Okay, so having a deeper voice, little breast tissue, penis and balls, and a higher rate of body hair.
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, so let's say I have 3 of these things: deeper voice, little breast tissue, high rate of body hair, but I'm a female.
Well, how would that happen?
Well, your females can have deep voices. Some females
how would that happen?
What do you mean? How would that happen?
Exposure?
They could
PCOS?
have PCOS, possibly.
Okay, well that's a hormonal disorder.
It
doesn't make them men because it's a disorder.
Hold on. I asked you if these were necessary, and you've agreed and told me that they are necessary to be considered a man.
Yes, but there's more to it.
No, there's not. Necessaries can't have exceptions.
There is.
Necessaries cannot have exceptions. Necessaries, Joseph. Yeah. Necessary things cannot have exceptions.
Yes, they can.
No, they cannot.
There's a difference between what's real, what occurs in nature, and what is a medical construct.
That doesn't matter. Necessary things cannot have exceptions. No, they cannot.
Yes, it does.
No, they cannot.
It does.
No, they can't.
If what we understand man to be are these traits, and they occur in nature, and for some women they induce them artificially, only the real ones count.
I hate to tell you this, necessary things can have 0 exceptions. That's why they're called necessary, not sufficient.
I would say that, necessary. Let me think. Are they necessary? I would say that they exist, and they are what give man its meaning. So
okay.
we can abandon the word necessary if you like.
Okay, great. So it is not necessary to be a man to have male typical traits.
I think what we understand man to be involves these traits. And then there are hormonal disorders that can alter a person's appearance and, these issues. And these are usually hormonal imbalances or disorders.
Great. I'm going to state my sentence again. You've said we're going to abandon necessary. So my sentence again is, it is not necessary to have male typical traits in order to be a man.
Okay. Sure.
Then what's the disagreement about now? If you agree it's not necessary to have male typical traits, then I don't know how we can say that sex is necessary or that sex is foundational to gender if it's not necessary to possess these sex traits.
I mean it is, because gender is the understanding of these qualities. We
it's
know
not,
what's
it's not necessary
for
to possess these sex traits, though. So then how can it be foundational if it's not necessary to possess them?
Because they exist and they give meaning to the word.
If it's not necessary to possess them, that means you can be a man without them.
That's not how we define
Joseph.
Man. That isn't what gives man its word.
Joseph, if you want to change your initial debate topic we can do that. But your initial topic is that sex is foundational to gender. And I asked you clarifying questions on this. And what you came to was that in order to be a man, the reason it's foundational is because in order to be a man, you must possess male typical traits. But now you're telling me you don't have to possess male typical traits. Okay, well, I wrote it down. Stop, Joseph, stop. I wrote it down. I wrote down as you were saying it, and you said more or less have male phenotypic traits to be men. That's what you said verbatim because I wrote it down as you were saying it.
Sure.
So are you changing the thing? Have the last 8 minutes been useless, and now we're walking back to something different?
No, I'm saying if you have these traits, more than likely you're going to be considered a man.
Okay, but that's not what I'm asking.
Incidentally, because
that is what I can agree. Hold on. I can agree that typically, if you have these traits, you will probably be a man because that is what's typical. I'm not asking about what's typical. I'm asking about what's necessary to be this thing. You've said sex is foundational to gender. But if people can exist within that gender category without those traits, then it is not foundational. Foundational would mean you need this to do this. But accordingly, you don't think it actually is foundational because you don't think you need this to do this. So would you like to walk back everything you said so far? Okay, so then it is necessary to have male typical traits in order to be a man.
To be considered a man socially, yes.
Okay. So men who don't have those male typical traits, what would they be?
Well, why wouldn't they have those traits? What are we talking about?
Litany of reasons.
Well,
the reason doesn't matter. A necessary can have no okay. Can you do me a favor and can you just go to Google and type in necessary definition and then hit enter and tell me how we define necessary?
So you want to talk about exceptions, but you don't want to explain.
Can you just do me a favor? Can you just do me a favor and can you go to Google and type in the word necessary, then a space bar, and then the word definition, and tell me how we typically use the phrase necessary in society, and tell me if that's you are agreeing with me.
I'm not in front of my computer.
Okay, so you don't know what necessary means then.
Well, okay, let me look at it. Required to be done or present.
Required to be done. Okay, so that means you're telling me that having male typical traits is required to be considered a man. It's a requirement.
So I'm saying that biological sex leads to these traits that we do associate with males and gives meaning to the term gender. I do understand that some males might not have those traits. It doesn't mean that they're not men.
Then it's not required.
Well, they would be men because they're male.
Okay.
What
makes somebody a male?
Change the rule.
Yes, they do. When it comes to scientific categories, yes, they absolutely do. Every single time. Every time. 100%. That's how science classifies things. Exceptions 100% breaks the rules.
Exceptions break the rules. No.
In scientific classifications, yes, they do every single time. If you're making a hard set rule of science and you're classifying something with a hard set rule and you have an exception, your hard set rule is not logical.
Exceptions are exceptions because they're not the rule.
I don't think you understand how science works, and it's kind of embarrassing. You're a 39-year-old man, Joseph. You're a 39-year-old man.
What I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying. It's illogical.
You don't want to get to the topic.
We are literally in the topic. Your topic is hold on. Whoa. Stop. I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you because I don't like people doing this. It's actually really frustrating. You're saying I'm not getting to the topic. The topic was you consider biological sex to be foundational to gender. We've never left the topic. You just are incapable of logically proving your point and your stance. So don't tell me I'm getting out of topic. We've never left it. So I'm going to ask you again, is sex foundational to gender? Yes or no?
The sex foundational to gender. Biological sex and those traits are foundational to what we understand what men and women are.
Great. So it is
if you consider men and women to be genders, if you consider man and woman to be genders, then we have to understand them from some point of view. And in my opinion, biological sex and the traits associated with the biological sex does give rise to the meaning of the word.
Okay, so I'll ask you this question again. Since you believe sex to be foundational to gender, okay, do you believe that having those sex traits is required to be in that gender category?
I would consider, well, if you don't have them because of a disorder, I would say that yes, you still fall into that category. Yes.
Okay, so this is why what you're saying now is illogical. You're saying
gender can
don't make me mute you. Don't make me mute you. Please don't make me mute you again.
Sure.
It's gonna happen if you can just consistently talk
Go
over
on.
me. Great. So what you're saying is I'm correct unless there are things that prove me wrong, then those things don't count. That's what you're saying, and that's why what you're saying is illogical. When asking if something is required, yes, really, I hate to break it to you. When I'm asking you if something is required, there can be no exceptions in a necessary. I don't know how many times I have to say this. If I tell you it is necessary to drive on my driveway, you have to have a red car, and I let in a blue car, guess what was never actually necessary? The red car. I just didn't like you. That's what it really boiled down to. So this is what you're boiling down to. You don't care if someone doesn't have what you need to be a man. You just care if they're trans. You don't give a shit if other people don't. Thank you. So you're just transphobia that you're trying to wrap into some logical framework that's
I'm
illogical.
not arguing that. I'm not arguing that. I'm
so you
saying
admit that you are
medical contracts do not count. That's what I'm.
Okay,
that
so
is going to be my ultimate point.
You admit you have no logical backing for your belief. It's just you don't like trans people.
Do.
No, you don't.
It's not that I don't like trans people.
I hate to break this. I hate to break this to you. I hate to break this to you, Joseph.
You can't take
Joseph.
your sex.
Joseph, I'm gonna meet you. I hate to break it to you. If you go something is necessary except, then you're not using logic. That's an illogical statement to make. You can say something is sufficient because that's what sufficient category conditions are. That you can have this, but there are going to be exceptions that don't have this because it's sufficient. But if you go, this is necessary, and you agree that there are things outside of the necessary, then I hate to break it to you, you're illogical. There's really no way around that unless you just don't know how the English language works. Which would be a little embarrassing. You're a 39-year-old man.
I don't think that it's illogical to say that the genders of man and women can still include men who might not have.
It is illogical to say that this is required and then let in people that don't have the requirements. That's illogical, yes.
Well, no, because if there's a hormonal imbalance involved, then
doesn't matter. It's illogical to say that this is necessary. And that it is illogical to say that this is necessary. Okay, I'm going to mute you. You're not saying the word typical, Joseph. You're not saying the word typical. We're saying the word necessary. You can say there are typically this is required, but that would mean there's an atypical and trans people can fall into the atypical. You're saying it's necessary that you must have this, except for the people that don't have this, then it's not necessary for them. But these people that don't have it, I still don't count them, even though I'm counting other people that don't have it. And the only reason I'm not counting them is because I'm transphobic. I'm going to need you to understand how logic works because you just don't seem to grasp it. It's a little embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay, so you have me muted, but yeah, of course yes, I am transphobic, correct. Because I see trans people as people who are surgically mimicking their...
Thank you for admitting it to me. See ya. Have a good day. Thank you for admitting that you're operating off of bigotry and not off of any logical standpoint. Thanks. Pretty easy. Pretty simple. I don't know how many times we have to have this conversation. Like, at what point are the transphobes going to realize, hey, maybe I should operate under a logical framework, not under an illogical framework? Yes, bigotry is when you illogically have this belief about somebody with no backing in facts or anything like that, and you engage in it. Yeah, I know. Now, me, when I have a belief, I use logic to help me get to that belief. Embarrassing. I like when you tried to say, that's not what I said. And I'm like, I wrote down what you said. I knew this was going to be the type of call where I need to write shit down. Anyway, let's move on to the next call. Next, and going to be our final call for the day, because I'm going to close down the call line after this one. Next up, we have Chris. Now, Chris thinks that trans men and women are against God's will. Let's see how Chris substantiates this one. Chris, hello, if you can hear me, please provide me your age and pronouns.
I can hear you.
Okay,
I can hear you.
Chris.
I'm not scared of you. Let me tell you something. I'm not scared of you.
Okay, Chris, I'm gonna have to mute you because like you came in hot as shit, and we can't hear you because your mic is peaking, Chris. So what I'm gonna need for you to do is back away from your mic because right now all you sound like is and we're trying to hear the words that you're saying, Chris. So take a step back from your mic and then speak and let me know your age and pronouns.
Are you ready? My age is
Chris,
52 years old.
You did not take any steps back from your mic. You were as close to your mic as you were before.
Oh, this dude is being difficult. I'm back to my mic.
You're still peaking hard as shit, Chris.
You hear me now?
I can hear you, but you sound like you're going through a wood chipper, Chris. Are you on speaker?
I'm not going to a wood chipper.
Are you on speaker? Okay, take the phone off of speaker. Take the phone off of speaker.
Dude, okay, go. I got the phone off speaker.
Is this just how your phone sounds?
That's how my phone sounds. I have an Android.
Okay,
Yeah,
then unfortunately, you need to get an iPhone to call in or something, Chris. This is incomprehensible.
No, why? You don't want me to tell you the truth?
Chris, holy shit, Chris. I muted you again. I need you to go back into the live stream and rewind so you can hear how you sound, and then you'll understand why we can't continue the conversation. You sound like you're talking on like a fucking Nokia handheld from like the 80s. So until you fix your microphone situation, we can't continue with the conversation. Go fix your microphone situation, then maybe we can. Okay? The fuck, dude? Oh, so you're running? No, bitch, you sound like you're fucking going through fucking whatever it's called. Like, what? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, set the shit up somewhere. I'm pretty sure Joseph is in chat calling me a coward when Joseph didn't know what the word necessary means. So I don't know what the fuck he wants me to do. You didn't know what the word necessary meant, Joseph. I can't give you guys another debate. Nobody else called in. Those were the only debates. Yeah, I would have liked to have talked to this last person. I would love to know where God talks about trans people even once, but yeah, actually, screeners, that's not a bad idea. Screeners, can we now, like, if that's how the calls sound, can we just, like, tell them they can't come through if they sound like that? Because, like, that was crazy. It's never been a thing I've told you guys about, so I'm not, like, mad or anything. I'm just saying. I think in the future, we should, like, if their calls sound like that, whoa, let's just be like, listen, homie, you got to fix that shit before you call into Jovan, because he ain't trying to talk to that. He called from prison? How do you go on, like, he's like, I'm changing it from speaker to not speaker. I'm like, it sounds the exact same. So I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but that's not it. Nope, Joseph, you just didn't know what necessary means, and everyone will see it again when I post the video. I don't know how you're up here arguing when you didn't know what the word necessary meant. That's on you. Let's go through the Twitch help thank yous. Vampy, thank you so much for the gifted sub over on Twitch. Cat's Meow, thank you for subscribing to Amazon Prime. Silly Rob, thank you for subscribing to Amazon Prime. Shade 13? I'm going to guess those are Roman numerals. Thank you for subscribing to Amazon Prime. Thank you guys for supporting the stream over on Twitch. It's time to go through our super chats. Time to go through our super chats. Taylor, thank you for the Venmo. Pretty sure he was calling from a Leapfrog phone. Now that's funny. And don't you know, I'm still standing better than I ever did. Let's go through a super chats. Feeling like a little kid. Okay, let's go through our super chats. First up in the super chat ring. Let me see who we got. First up, we have Lieb, who said, "Schlong is long as King Kong dong schlong schlong." Got it. Thank you for the super chat. Music Sheep, a lot of things about religious faith is that they work backwards to back up reasoning. They assume God is always the answer and work from there. Sex makes a baby, then it's God's will to be straight. Shit, true. Also, Music Sheep, you can hit property, break property, and destroy your own property. If you cannot do that, then it's not property. True. But also, anyone that tells you that their children are their property, the fuck? Get the fuck out of here with that creepy shit. Deuteronomy 21, 18 to 21. Look it up. If I recall. I don't remember which one that is off the top of my head. Comic Writer said, "Big fucking W, Jovan." Thank you. Joshua Everett said, "What's the over-under on the grade Bill 2 dropped out of?" I'm going with 6th grade. Bill 2 is funny. I should have called him Bill 2. Bill. Bill Nye the Science Guy. That's funny. Music Sheep again said, "Cutting off the genitals of intersex babies to make them normal is both bigoted and abusive." True. Gray Ghost said, "Bill is too stupid for this." Yes, he was. Bees said, "I don't know if I remember correctly, but I believe you mentioned that landowners in Russia assaulted fields in the October Revolution the other day. Can you provide a source?" I'd have to pull it up, but yeah, I can try to get a source for you on that one. Once I'm able to grab a source, I'll let you guys know. From Music Sheep again. "Show me the name of the study." Well, trans people, masterful dodge. True. True. Where was I? Sorry. I got distracted. That happens sometimes when you got the ADHD. ADHD, son. ADHD, son. Next message is from comic writer. Trans people are valid and deserve acceptance. True, trans rights. Music Sheep said it's replacing one vice with another. A lot of Christians converts tend to act fanatical and extreme and take I can ignore problems by drinking to I can ignore problems because God will solve them. So true. That's why I don't like AA. Atrocities are still common within Christianity, most notably mistreatment of LGBT folks, and Christians go, oh, well, thoughts and prayers instead of denouncing it. True. Music Ball said, while transphobes can gaslight and gatekeep, they seemingly cannot girl boss. Dion said, Christ is a lie told for access to money and kids. Holy shit. True. Thank you for the super chats. Katie12 said, not that I can rush you, but when will you be uploading the video of the evil Christian lady from yesterday? I've got to show my friends. That should be up Friday, I think, but you'll see it. It'll go members only today. I already uploaded it. I just got to set it to when it will release. Members only, and then the release date is typically 2 days from the day it goes up members only. Music Sheep again. Honestly, after the Donna call last night, I feel like experiencing a high I can never attain. Then also said Bro's mic was probably covered in all kinds of ungodly substances. Oh shit. Garito, oops, hold on. Garito said, my dresses are biological. Checkmate leftists. And the Music Sheep finally said the Deuteronomy passage about what happens when a kid disobeys their parents. Oh yeah. They take their kids to the middle of the town square and have everybody stone them to death. Yes, parents of the Bible were such good folks. Such good parents that their Bible. On God. On God. Vampy, we got a super chat from Vampy. Vampy said, I showed up late, so here's a half-assed joke to compensate. I've taken shit smarter than transphobes. You could say they're biological and make no apologies. Biological. It was crazy. But thank you. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you for being here and hanging out with me. It's a bit shorter stream today because I have to go sort through a bunch of presents from you guys. So that's what I'm going to be doing the rest of the day, is trying to sort through and package up some more of these presents for the gift drive, the toy drive. Taylor, thank you for the other Venmo. Said, I read that Christians are less likely to apologize to you considering that they already feel like God will forgive them. They already feel forgiven. Ooh, that's a fucking good point. I wonder if that's true. If you can find me where you read that, send that to me. That's interesting as shit. That Christians, because of their belief, they feel like, oh, God won't apologize, so I don't have to apologize. Anyway, good stream today. Good hang, chat. Thanks for being here. We'll be back live Friday. Jessica, I feel like I got your email. We just haven't gotten to the point where we're ready to pull the trigger on anybody yet. So I'll keep the email in the rotation for when me and Arden feel like we're ready to hire an editor. But thank you. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here. It's been a fucking chill stream, and I will see everybody Friday will be the next stream. So I will see everybody Friday. Goodbye.